Finding profitable products to resell is easy. And if you're finding it hard, you're probably just looking in the wrong place. So in this video, I'm going to give you 12, yes, 12 locations from which you can find profitable products. So let's get straight into it, no messing. Number one, charity shops. This has been around for a long time. There are charity shops all over the high street. You can go into, have a look at the items that they've got to sell, do some research there prior to buying to make sure that you're picking up a profitable item. The game's changing a little bit with charity shops. They're becoming wise to it. And so you really have to have a broad knowledge of items to pick up to ensure that you're picking up profitable products. Because if you're going in there and looking for Nike trainers, for instance, the likelihood is the charity shop are going to recognize that this item consistently gets picked up by resellers and they will charge you more. And so you then end up in a position where you're paying too much for your cost of goods. I did a video about that on my channel. Go have a look if you're struggling to understand how much you should be paying for an item. So number two is car boot sales. Again, another classic. There are car boot sales all over the country, and generally the seller's attitude is, I just want rid of it. And so it's a great place to go in and source stock of all kinds. You'll see a lot of resellers down there. And you can pick up some absolute steals from car boot sales. It's a staple for a lot of resellers. Number three is Facebook Marketplace. I don't have a lot of experience here. This isn't something that I do a lot of, but I am aware that there are a lot of items getting sold locally that you might be able to take advantage of. Generally, it's bigger items, furniture, bikes, things like that. So again, it's a place to look. Number four, Vinted, one of my favorites, a great place to source stock, and any form of online sourcing is so much more convenient. So you've got to think about the time invested against the return. So let's say, for instance, you decide to go and do a charity shop route, right? You've picked out a route that you're going to do on a Saturday and it's going to take you 6 or 7 hours. But during the course of that time, you're only picking up like £150 worth of stock. When you break it down from the time it's taken to source the stock, the money it's cost to go out and do the shopping route, and then the time spent invested into actually preparing the stock and listing it. By then, if you're thinking about that from an hourly rate, it can be really tricky. And so for me, I much prefer to source online and have the items sent to me, and then that way I'm not wasting time. I can just move on quickly. So yeah, that's Vinted itself. The next one, eBay or eBay auctions, is a great opportunity to pick up some steals. Definitely have to be patient, and it can be competitive. But again, if you're looking a little bit broader, outside of most people's normal niches, there are some steals to be had. I'm aware of people, if for instance, let's say for instance, you're looking at unusual items. There's a guy actually on social media who will sell like cookers, hobs, trailer units, all stuff like this, and he picks it all up off eBay auctions and makes a killing. So again, I've spoken about niches and the importance of having a niche. There is a video, go have a look for it. But if you are in that niche, this unusual niche outside of what normal sellers are doing, you might find it very profitable. Number six is Depop. Not as mainstream anymore, kind of died a death. eBay have bought Depop. I don't know if you knew that, so I am expecting that there's going to be like a bit of an upsurge in Depop, and I think the reason they've done that is because of vintage clothing. If you are in the business of selling vintage clothing, Depop is a staple for you. You should be on there. Vinted and Depop should marry up really, really well for you, in my opinion. The next one, number seven, is outlet stores. So if you're selling a lot of new trainers, for instance, you'll see a lot of people on social media who are blasting through the outlet stores, and they'll do like a route. They've got built relationships with the staff. They know when new items are coming in, when discounts are getting applied. Again, a competitive market, and you've got to consider against the amount of time invested for the number of pairs that you pick up. But it's still an opportunity, and there are other outlet stores out there as well if you're looking at a niche outside of trainers. Number 8, local independent stores. So this is the kind of scenario, let's say, for instance, you're away for a weekend and you just pop into, one of these non-descriptive shops. You can find steals in these places because the people that are running them are not necessarily connected up to what the current market value is. So local stores is an opportunity. Friends and family is 9. Especially when you're getting started, this can be really useful. Asking people if they've got any items that they want to sell, and potentially you can take a percentage for selling that on their behalf. If I'm honest, once you get to a certain point, at my point, I'd be like, this is more of a hindrance than a help. I don't want to have to sell that for you, but I'm more than happy to talk you through it. But when you're getting started and you're trying to generate that capital, friends and family might be useful. Just talking to people about what you're doing will lead to more opportunities for you. So it's definitely something to consider, friends and family. Number 10 is clearance sections, both in websites and in stores. So Amazon sellers love this because it's an opportunity to buy items that are brand new with tags, and they can make a huge return on investment. Generally, again, they're looking to purchase items that are a third or less of the item's retail value so that they can make money on that. But considering you can sell some of these items on Vinted and not have to pay a seller's commission like you do on Amazon, there's opportunities to undercut the market and make some money on that. So don't overlook the clearance sections in stores. Boots used to be a particular favourite of mine. I used to do well out of boot stores. Number 11 is wholesalers. And I say this with caution because I hear a lot of people getting their fingers burnt in relation to trying to pick up, for instance, vintage wholesale. So how do these wholesalers go about securing their stock was a question I had. And they will build relationships with rag houses. So an item gets sent to a charity shop or into one of these bins, right, that you see knocking about in like retail parks and stuff for disposing of clothing. Charity shops will take an offering out of it if they want to take something to sell. Otherwise, it ends up in something called a rag house, which is like the last chance saloon for clothing before it either gets sent off to like other countries who are in need, like third world countries who are in need of clothing, or it just gets disposed of altogether. So a lot of these wholesalers are like recycling out of these locations, going, there's an opportunity there. But the level of scrutiny that's given to some of this clothing is not that great. That doesn't apply to all wholesalers, by the way. There are some wholesalers out there who are amazing. If you do some research online, you'll find some people, the real gems are the ones that are not advertised because they don't need to. And number 12, I don't hear a lot of people talking about it, but is auctions. A secret weapon, really, and it's always worth having a look at what the auction houses have got for sale over the course of a weekend auction. I spent a lot of time doing that in the early days. I don't do it so much now, just because of the amount of time spent having to travel to the auction house, which is not near to me. Again, a competitive environment, but there is definitely opportunity to source product there. Just be mindful of the fact that you are obviously paying a commission. Generally, it's a third of the item's value to the auction house. So after that, you've literally got no excuse not to find profitable products. You need to apply your niche. Your niche will suit a number of different options that I've given you there, and there'll be some that you'll just be like, nah, it's no good for me. And it's all about, building up your understanding of where to source profitable products. Easy for me to say, but listen, you've now got no excuse but to go out there and find yourself some decent inventory. If you've got any other locations that you're prepared to share with people where you pick up profitable products, drop them in the comments. I'd be interested to know. And finally, if you enjoy this kind of content, I post reselling content daily. So make sure you drop us a follow.